don't mean you paused to take a photo for Instagram or checked your map. I mean, the scenery was so commanding, so physically overwhelming that your brain just kind of short-circuited, and you felt like you literally turned into a statue.
Oh, yeah. It's a rare phenomenon, though. Usually we remain in control when we travel. We're the observers. We're the critics, you know.
We consume the landscape.
We consume it, exactly. But to be stopped dead, to be conquered by a landscape where you lose that control, that requires a very specific set of variables.
Precisely. And that sensation, that paralysis by beauty is the core of what we're exploring today. We aren't doing a standard travel guide.
No best hotels, no top 10 places to eat.
We are doing a deep dive into the region of Pollachi in India, but we are doing it through a very unusual, very specific source.
Right. This isn't a TripAdvisor review or a Lonely Planet excerpt. We are analyzing a piece of poetry. It's titled Pollachi'S Glory, an ode to Annamalai's embrace, or in the original Tamil, Pollachi Pesum Perumai.
And before we even get into the lush greenery and the mist, I have to mention the author. And then I looked at the bio provided in the source material. I did a double take. This isn't exactly what I expected from a typical nature poet.
No, not at all. The credentials listed are fascinatingly rigorous. The source lists him as having an MA, a BSc, a BEd, and a PGDIC.
Wow.
This is a man deeply steeped in academia, science, education, arts. He's got the whole alphabet soup of degrees.
That's the hook for me. You have a mind that is trained to categorize, to analyze facts, to teach structure, a scientific mind. And yet, when this specific mind looks at the Pollachi region, it doesn't produce a geological survey or a botanical list. It produces a love letter.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to unpack that sensory experience, from the Annalai Bills to the Aliyar River, and figure out why a man of science feels compelled to write that this landscape effectively robbed him of his sight.
It's a collision of the analytical and the emotional. So let's get into the text. The poem opens with the setting, but the phrasing is very specific.
Very.
It doesn't just say Pollachi is a town near the mountains. It uses a specific Tamil word, Adharavil.
Right, the line is Annamai Adharavil Pollachi. And Adharavu is a heavy word.
What does it mean exactly?
It translates to support, patronage, or protection. It's the kind of word you'd use for a parent supporting a child, or a sturdy foundation supporting a massive building.
I really love that distinction. It implies dependency. Pollachi doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists because the Annamai Hills are allowing it to.
It's sitting in their lap.
Exactly.
It sets the tone immediately that the geography here is active. The hills aren't just background wallpaper. They are the guardians. They are holding the space. And because of this patronage, the narrator says his state of being is ulasi.
Ulasi. That's a lovely word. It generally means a happy person, right? Someone joyous, carefree.
It does. But in this context, think about the cause and effect logic the poet is using. The hills provide the Adharavu, the support.
And the direct result is that the human becomes ulasi.
Yes. It suggests that happiness here isn't something you have to manufacture. You don't have to try to be happy. It's a natural byproduct of the environment.
And it's like you are granted permission to be happy by the mountains.
That's a great way to put it. Environmental permission. The pressure is off.
But then the poem shifts from the solid ground to the air. We get to the Aliyar River breeze. And this is where the language starts to get psychological.
Yes, the just mentions the Aliyar River's breeze and says the narrator becomes Ulagi. Now, this sounds similar to Ulasi, but the meaning is significantly deeper.
Ulagi, it sounds like it shares a root with ulam, meaning the heart or the inner mind.
Spot on. To be Ulagi means to be internalized or captivated from the inside. It's the difference between feeling a breeze on your skin, which is external, and feeling a breeze in your soul.
So he's not just cooling off, he's submitting to it. The breeze is...
It's entering his internal world.
Exactly.
It's like when you hear a song that just stops your train of thought completely.
You become the song, here he becomes the breeze.
And that profound internalization leads the poet to a massive claim. He writes, Indiavan nokirke elakanan. He says that because of these elements, the hills, the breeze here, or perhaps the location itself, became the target or the goal for India's gaze.
That is a bold statement. He's essentially saying, if you are looking for the essence of beauty in India, X marks the spot right here.
It is bold. But what I find most interesting is how he grounds that claim. He doesn't keep it abstract. Immediately after saying, all of India is looking here, he zooms in on the local soundscape.
He brings up the language.
The Kongu Tamil.
Right.
Yes. He mentions that the conversation, or the word here, is Kongu Tamil. Now, for the listeners who aren't linguists, Tamil is one of the world's oldest classical languages, but Kongu Tamil is a specific dialect.
Spoken in western Tamil Nadu.
And it has a reputation for being incredibly respectful, melodious, and, well, sweet.
So he's building a multi-sensory experience. You have the visual support of the hills, the tactile feeling of the breeze, and now the auditory layer of this sweet, respectful dialect.
It's a crucial insight. Often when people write about nature, they strip away the humans. They want pristine wilderness. But Jayasekaran is doing the opposite.
He's saying that the local dialect is part of the landscape.
You can't separate the Animalai Hills from the people speaking Kongu Tamil at the foot of them. It connects the culture to the land.
The people sound like the place feels. That is such a holistic way to view a travel destination.
Beautifully said. It's an ecosystem of sound and sight.
Okay, so we've established the foundation. We are supported by the hills. We are listening to the river and the language. Now the journey begins. The poem moves us physically up towards Valparaiso.
And this is where the metaphors get, well, a little spicy.
It takes a turn toward the romantic, doesn't it?
It does.
He calls Valparaiso a bow for Cupid's arrow. The phrase is Manmatha Kanai.
Right. Manmatha is the god of love, the equivalent of Cupid in Indian mythology, and referring to Valparaiso as the bow for his arrow. There are a couple of ways to read this, and I think the poet intends both.
The literal way is the road, right? If you've ever seen a map of the route to Valparaiso, it's nothing but hairpin bends.
It curves exactly like a drawn bow.
That's the geographical reading.
And it's certainly accurate. It's a winding, treacherous, beautiful ascent. But given the reference to Manmatha, we have to look at the emotional layer. A bow is a weapon. It launches something.
So he's implying that the landscape is a delivery system for love?
Exactly. The landscape of Valparaiso isn't passive. It's the weapon that shoots the arrow of love into your heart. You don't just visit Valparaiso. You are struck by it. You are pierced.
I like that idea of the landscape being the aggressor here. It's attacking you with beauty.
And then he describes the physical reaction to being there. The temperature drops as you climb.
Yes, the text mentions the cold of Valparaiso, and the reaction is becoming jiligi.
Jiligi.
Even to an English speaker, that sounds like chill.
It connects directly. It's likely a vernacular play on that exact sensation. Becoming cool, refreshed, but look at his reaction to the cold. He doesn't say, I put on a sweater.
No, he doesn't say, I shittered. This is my favorite image in the whole poem. He says he is smiling with a mouthful of teeth. Vayalam Palagi.
It's such a vivid, almost childlike image. Vayalam Palagi. It implies a wide, uncontrollable grin where you are showing every single tooth in your head.
It's that involuntary happiness. You know that feeling when you step out of a car into crisp, fresh mountain air? Your body just reacts. You smile before you even think about smiling.
It's physiological joy. And remember, this is coming from the man with the B.Sc and the M.A. He's describing a total loss of composure. He's not analyzing the thermodynamics of the fog.
He's grinning like a kid.
Yes. It humanizes the experience so much. It's a reminder that true beauty disarms us. It bypasses our intellect and goes straight to our facial muscles.
So we're grinning in the cold, but the tour continues. The poem moves us to two specific landmarks, and I notice a really interesting paradox here. He talks about crowds and solitude in a way that seems backwards.
This is a brilliant observation. He talks about the crowd of mountains, Malikutam.
Right.
And says, seeing this crowd brings great joy, or Perindam.
So the mountains are the crowd. That's the social event. But then you talk about Monkey Falls.
Right, Monkey Falls. And for this, he uses the word Thanibam.
Solitary pleasure, or unique pleasure.
Yeah.
Which is funny, right? Because if you've ever been to a popular waterfall in India, it is usually packed with people. It is the least solitary place on earth.
That's the surface reality. But I think Jayasekaran is talking about the internal experience of water. Think about standing under a waterfall. The noise is deafening.
The water is pounding on your head. Your eyes are squeezed shut.
The rest of the world disappears. You can't hear the tourist next to you.
No.
Exactly. Even if there are 50 people around you, that moment under the water is just you and the force of nature. It isolates you. It creates a bubble of Thanibam solitary joy.
That's a profound distinction. You have the Perindam, the big, expansive joy of the mountain range, and the Thanibam, the focused, private joy of the water.
And then, just to complete the trifecta, we continue our ascent to Atakati.
Atakati. And here, the element changes again. We've had earth, wind, water, now we have mist.
The snow fog, or mist. And the source says this gives Faruminbam.
Faruminbam. Help us unpack that.
Literally, the pleasure that it gives. It implies a generous nature. Usually we think of mist or fog as something that takes away, it hides the view, it blocks the road.
Right.
But here the mist is giving something. It's offering a sensation.
It feels like he's cataloging species of happiness. Like, as a scientist, he can't help but classify them.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Here is type A joy, the mountain view. Here is type B joy, the waterfall. He is taxonomizing bliss.
He's dissecting the emotional landscape just as carefully carefully as he would a biological specimen.
Exactly.
And all of this, the support, the breeze, the cold, the mist, it builds up to the climax of the poem, the transformation.
This is where we circle back to your statue comment at the beginning. The line is Sulayanan.
I became a statue.
Mm-hmm.
What's the trigger? What finally turns this educated, active man into stone?
He attributes it to nature-given flawlessness, or love. The word is kanthali now. It implies something without defect, something purely perfect.
So the perfection of the scene literally frees of him.
Total stillness. We talked about the breeze moving him, the cold making him smile. But eventually, the cumulative effect of it all, it renders him noble.
Usually we think becoming a statue is a bad thing, like the board or stick.
But here it feels like the highest compliment. It's the ultimate state of mindfulness. You stop doing, and you just are. You are so overwhelmed by the input that the output mechanism shuts down.
It's system overload in the best possible way.
Exactly. And then he mentions Soleil Malai.
Yes, Soleil Malai is another reference to the hills, specifically the temple regions often found there. He says it stirs up desire or wakes up the wish.
It's active again. The landscape isn't just sitting there, it's poking him, stirring him up. And that leads to my favorite line of the whole piece.
The robbery.
The robbery. Robbing the sites.
It makes it sound like a crime.
In a way it is. He's saying the landscape is so aggressive in its beauty that it holds the sights hostage. It steals your eyes.
It steals your eyes. That is powerful. It's not, I decided to look at the view. It's the view demanded my attention and took it.
It removes the agency of the observer. You don't have a choice. If you are there, you will look. You will be captivated.
A visual heist.
And that leads to his final question, and I think this is where the academic in me really connects with the poet in him. He asks about the value.
What is the price to pick up and give this?
He talks about a melting heart, Nigitsindamanam. His heart is softened and melted. And he asks, essentially, what is the cost of this? Can you put a price tag on this experience?
And the implication, clearly, is no, you can't.
It's invaluable. You can buy a ticket to travel, you can buy gear. But the experience of a melting heart, of becoming a statue, that is beyond commerce.
It's interesting that he ends on a question. He doesn't give a statement like, this is the best place on earth. He asks, what is the price?
It leaves the reader in use to answer it. We live in a transactional world. We pay for flights, for hotels, for entry tickets. But Jay Sekaran is asking, what is the actual value of having your heart melt?
It's infinite.
It is. It's beyond commerce.
So let's zoom out a bit. We've walked through this poem stanza by stanza. We've gone from the base of the hills, felt the support, heard the language.
Climbed the winding road, gotten soaked in the falls and frozen in the mist. And notice the trajectory of the observer.
Yeah.
He starts as happy Ulasi, then he becomes internalized Alagi, then he gets physically affected Jalegi, and finally he stops moving entirely. Salayanin.
It's a journey from motion to stillness, from engaging with the world to surrendering to it.
And that, I think, is the key insight for our listeners. We often travel to do things. We want to hike the trail, swim the river, drive the road. But this poem suggests that the ultimate goal of travel isn't action.
It's an action.
It's letting the place act on you.
Precisely. Pollachi isn't the passive backdrop for your vacation. Pollachi is the main character. You are just the audience member who gets turned into a statue if you're lucky.
It really challenges the way we document our lives, doesn't it? We're so busy snapping photos to prove we were there. But Jaya Sekaran is asking, did you let the place rob you of your sight?
Or were you too busy looking through a lens?
It's a vulnerable position to be in, to let your guard down so much that you're smiling with a mouthful of teeth at nothing but the cold air. It requires a certain humility.
You have to admit that the mountain is bigger than you.
Not just in size, but in presence.
And the source also mentions specifically that this experience makes the narrator a target for India's gaze. We touched on that, but it's worth reiterating as we close.
He sees his experience as representative. By becoming a statue in Pollachi, he becomes a testament to what the land can do. He's not just a tourist, he's evidence.
Evidence of Pollachi's power.
Exactly. And that connects back to the title, Pollachi Pesum Peromai, the pride or glory that Pollachi speaks. Pollachi speaks through these experiences. It speaks through the silence of the people gazing at it.
So if you're listening to this and you're feeling a bit stuck in the grind, maybe you need to find your own version of Anamalai.
Look for the support. Look for the Ataravu in your own environment. What is holding the space for you?
And ask yourself, when was the last time you let yourself be turned into a statue? When was the last time you saw something so beautiful you literally couldn't move?
If it's been a while, it might be time to book a trip. Or at the very least, look out the window a little longer than usual.
It's a short poem, but man, it packs a punch. It covers geography, culture, sensory details, and deep philosophy in just a few stanzas.
That is the power of poetry. And specifically the power of a mind that can synthesize different disciplines. Jessica Caron brings the precision of a scientist to the emotion of an artist.
I think that's why it resonates. It's grounded in reality. Aliyar, Valparaiso, Monkey Falls are real places, but the experience is transcendent.
It reminds us that the real world is magical if you pay enough attention to it. You don't need fantasy. You just need to go to Arakati when the minute is rolling in.
And maybe speak a little Kongu Tamil while you're there.
It certainly wouldn't hurt to respect the word of the land.
Well, we've climbed the hills and come back down. Hopefully we've brought a little bit of that Aliyar breeze to your day.
And maybe a little bit of that mouthful of teeth happiness.
That is the goal. A huge thank you to the poet Jessica and for this source material. It's a beautiful reminder of the power of the Indian landscape.
Indeed. It's a gem of a text.
So here is something to mull over as you go about your day. We talked about the landscape robbing the eyes and turning the observer into a statue. We treat these as moments of beauty. But think about this. If nature has the power to completely freeze us and steal our attention, are we perhaps too afraid of that power? Do we keep moving, keep scrolling, keep talking, precisely because we are afraid of what would happen if we actually stopped and let ourselves be conquered by our surroundings?
That is a profound thought to end on. Are we avoiding the statue moment?
Something to think about. Until next time, keep your eyes open and don't be afraid to freeze.
Goodbye, everyone.